Some NBA plays are unforgettable. These 7 still do not look real. One player scored from behind the backboard. Another ended a playoff series from 37 feet. And one championship-saving play required perfect timing, speed, and control. But number 1 gave the ball 4 separate chances to miss. These are 7 NBA plays that still do not make sense. At number 7, Michael Jordan somehow turned a routine drive into one of the most recognizable plays in NBA history. During Game 2 of the 1991 Finals, Jordan attacked the lane and took off with the ball in his right hand. While he was already in the air, he moved it to his left and floated it
down the lane. He just, went one way, put it in one hand, floated about a 5 more yards, said, well, I don't know, and then he went off against the glass. So it was his game tonight. He really took it over in the second half. The only thing is, no matter if you get beat by 1 or 20, it's still 1-1.
Floated it high off the glass. The strange part is that Jordan probably did not need to switch hands. Most players adjust because the defense forces them to. Jordan adjusted simply because his body allowed him to, and made it look effortless. At number 6, Kobe Bryant found himself trapped on the baseline with almost no angle remaining. The basket was on one side of the backboard, Kobe was on the other, so he jumped from behind the hoop and released the ball from a position where he could barely see the rim. The shot had to clear the corner of the backboard and still fall at exactly the right angle. The overhead replay makes it look even more ridiculous. Kobe was not beside the backboard. He was genuinely behind it. And somehow, the shot dropped cleanly through the net. At number 5, Stephen Curry changed what basketball considered a reasonable shot. The game was tied in overtime when Golden State pushed the ball across half court against Oklahoma City. Most players would attack the basket, call for a screen, or move closer. Curry saw the defender backing away and pulled up from nearly 40 feet. There was no panic, there was no broken play. He simply decided that this was a good shot. For almost anyone else, that decision would get them benched. For Curry, it became one of the most famous shots of his career. At number 4, the Lakers appeared to be finished. Tim Duncan had just made an unbelievable leaning shot over Shaquille O'Neal to give San Antonio the lead. Only 0.4 of a second remained. Not 4 seconds, 0.4. That is barely enough time to catch the ball and redirect it toward the basket. Derek Fisher caught the inbound pass, turned, elevated, and released before the horn. The replay confirmed what hardly seemed possible. The ball had left his hand in time. It dropped through the basket and turned one impossible playoff shot into the setup for another. At number 3, Damian Lillard had several safer options. The score was tied. He could attack the basket, use a screen, or take a closer shot and still go to overtime if he missed. Instead, Lillard stood near the logo with Paul George defending him. As the clock disappeared, he stepped back and launched from 37 feet. The shot gave Lillard 50 points and ended Oklahoma City's season. Then he waved goodbye. He did not need a miracle. He chose one anyway. At number 2, one defensive play helped decide an NBA championship. Game 7 of the finals was tied with less than 2 minutes remaining when Golden State raced toward the basket. Andre Iguodala appeared to have an open layup. LeBron James was several steps behind him. Then the gap suddenly disappeared. James sprinted back, tracked the ball, waited for Iguodala to commit, and pinned the shot against the backboard. One mistimed step gives Golden State the lead. Arrive a fraction later, and it could be goaltending. Jump too early, and Iguodala finishes around him. LeBron reached the only possible spot at exactly the right moment. The athleticism was incredible. The timing made it historic. And at number 1, an entire playoff series waited on the rim. Game 7, tie score, 4.2 seconds remaining. Kawhi Leonard received the inbound pass while Joel Embiid chased him toward the corner. Embiid's pressure forced Kawhi farther away from the basket and made the release even more difficult. Kawhi faded toward the baseline and sent the ball unusually high just to clear Embiid's outstretched hand. The horn sounded while the shot was still in the air. Then came one bounce, 2, 3, 4. For several seconds, neither team knew whether its season was over. When the ball finally fell, Toronto advanced and eventually won the NBA championship. Years later, the players involved still remember the silence, the waiting, and the disbelief. Other plays on this list required impossible distance, body control, speed, or timing. This one required all of them. Then it needed 4 bounces to decide an entire series. 7 plays, 7 completely different versions of impossible. Which one deserves the #1 spot, and what play did we leave off?